Hi, Amber Duggar here, founder of Profit for Keeps. And in today's Profit for Joy episode, we are going to be talking all about how to plan financially to build a team. If you have been wanting to build a team, well done. You're at a point in your business where you're wanting to scale and massively grow your impact. And it's a beautiful process. And it can also be a very tricky one when it comes to planning financially. So, in today's episode, we're going to be really diving into some questions you want to be asking yourself and also some things to think about as you plan on building your team. If you haven't been here before, thank you so much for being here. My name is Amber Duggar, and please subscribe and hit the share button if you find this useful so that you can share it with others. Okay, so first, a quick disclaimer. While I do have a degree in finance and I could have easily gone into the financial planning world, I made a very intentional decision not to become a certified financial planner because I saw there was a much needed gap to be filled in the cash flow management and money mindset area. And so that's what I focus on. So please do not take this as financial advice, and we'll go from there. Okay, so thinking ahead, when you're thinking about bringing on a new team member, there's a few things you want to ask yourself. One, how long is it going to actually take for this person to get up and running, to be trained, to be able to give you a return on the investment you're making by bringing that team member on? You want to have at least 3 months of that expense for that team member, preferably saved before investing in the person to come on. Now, how can you do this? Well, one way to do this is in the revenue calculator. If you're using the Profit for Keep system, we always have a spreadsheet that lists all of the investments for your business. So you have your normal investments. You would add this particular one on. You could then recreate your revenue goal with this new investment in there. And that is a new goal that you want to start striving for. I tell my clients to look at the average of the last 6 months of their revenue to see if they've already been hitting that number. Because most of the time, once clients have a clear picture of how much they want to be making in their business, they can then start to exceed that number pretty quickly because they have a very clear goal and a justification as to why they're aiming for that revenue goal. So the first thing you want to do is recalculate your revenue goal. You then want to look at your last 6 months of revenue and see if you are hitting or exceeding that new goal that you calculated for yourself. If you're not, then you want to look at the foundation of your program. How many additional spots do you need to sell? What needs to happen for you to be able to go into that next level of revenue? So that's the first thing. Now, once you have your new revenue goal, you can then, of course, start reverse engineering that to see, okay, well, and once I start hitting that number, you can start putting that extra business expense allocation towards that new member expense line. So when I'm looking to bring on a new team member, I will start allocating money ahead of time for that team member using the extra money that I've been making by hitting that new revenue goal. So why you want to pre-fund your team, you want to be able to not worry about making a return on the investment on that team in the very beginning and really focus on nurturing that team member so that they can get up and running and not feel a massive amount of pressure to immediately perform for you. Now, this is something that you want to actually take a further step back and look at the structure of how you are building and scaling your business. Is your main offer scalable? That's the next thing you want to be looking at. How many touch points do you need, if any, on a one-to-one basis per person that's coming into your program? If there is a one-on-one component, what is the amount or the maximum amount of people that you can bring on before you would need another person to start doing some of those one-on-one touch points? You may then want to create a milestone for yourself. So for example, if you have the ability to take on 10 clients in a group program with a one-on-one call per month, and at 10 clients, it hits a certain revenue point where that's going to allow you to have enough money to allocate to a new team member to start then being able to fill another pot of 10 people so that that person can take on those new 10 calls. And then you would have a new revenue point. And at that point, you could run that through your calculator and see, okay, I now have this much extra amount in my business expense allocation after other business expenses to bring on a third team member, and so forth. So It's important to not only look at what you're going to be doing with these new team members, but also how they can start removing you from all of the touch points in your own business. Now, the other thing that you can consider, of course, is if you are at a point in your Profit for Keeps journey where you have profit accumulation, let's say past the 3 months expenses. So let's say your business expenses are $10,000 and you have $40,000 in your profit accumulation line. You have $10,000 that can be available for capital expansion. What is capital expansion? Essentially, it's just being able to reinvest in your business to expand your business. So I recently did this. I made a pretty substantial investment and I used my profit accumulation to make a pay in full payment for that investment. And I felt very good about it because I'm creating a payment plan for myself to pay myself back over the next year. But it's going to save me thousands of dollars to pay in full upfront. You can also do this with a team. So if you're wanting to bring on 1 or 2 extra people and you know having that extra bandwidth, if you have a very clear plan on exactly how you're going to utilize those team members, you can use some of your profit accumulation to build on your team as long as you reserve the 3 months of expenses in the profit accumulation so that you don't put yourself in a position where you don't have that extra cash if something happens and you need it. So it's really important to keep that in mind. Now, we talked about the runway of making sure that you have at least 3 months of expenses set aside for that new team member when they come on board. Another thing to think about is possibly finding interns. There are so many people who are wanting to get experience in an online business in a way that they can really learn from you. So don't discount the beautiful, amazing prospect of having an intern that can then go into a paid position once you've been able to really see what they can do for you. The other thing that I wanted to quickly touch on is when you're thinking about bringing on a contractor versus a full-time employee, just remember that if you do bring on a full-time employee, while the rate will probably be less, you will need to, of course, pay for FICA and any benefits if you do provide any benefits. So a good rule of thumb is, let's say that you're paying someone a salary of $40,000. You want to add on an additional 20% of indirect expenses. And what that means is it'll be for the extra taxes, it'll be for any health benefits you have. It's a good round number. And so then you would take that $40,000 and multiply it by 1.2, and that would give you $48,000, which you could then spread out over 12 months, divide it by 12, and add it to your business expenses. If you're going to use a contractor, you will, of course, not have to pay benefits, not have to pay taxes, but typically, because of that, the rate is higher than that if you were to pay a salary. So it's just something to keep in mind. I would love to get your feedback and any questions you have on what I shared today. If you find this video useful and you think someone else would really enjoy it, please do consider sharing, subscribing, and liking the video. It helps tremendously in terms of getting this video in front of others. And make sure that if you haven't, join us over in our free community, Sweet Life Purposeful Money. The link is below. It's amberduggar.com/community. I would absolutely love to connect with you over there. We have incredible conversations and we have live workshops regularly, which people say is worth more than the last 3 investments they made. So we definitely want to encourage you to go there so that you can really take action and become more profitable in your business. Thanks so much. It was so great connecting with you here. Much love. Until next time, see you later.